Good morning.
Weird, my Facebook keeps crashing.
Uh-oh.
Weird. I'm gonna have to reset my phone.
Okay. Good morning. Somebody's in here visiting with us this morning. Ah, it's Mom. Any requests this morning, Mom? Let us know. Good morning, Aunt Audrey. How are you?
That worked. There we go.
Working?
Yep, working now.
Very good.
There was just some contradiction with something.
Lower back today. Were you in the garden? No, it was raining yesterday. You weren't in the garden. You were at your computer. Alright. Low back. Well, look at you busy drafting away. I've been cleaning up messes. The kids were being messy. The dog tore apart a toy, and the cat, one of the cats, and the breakfast did not agree, and so there was mess. So we have a low back request today. Is there anything else coming up that others would like to explore in our mindful movement this morning? Okay, multiple low back requests. Got it. Then I think we will start on our backs, on our mats. So wherever you are, making your way onto your back. And for today, if it's okay for you, have your knees bent with your feet planted on the mat. Bling tennis. Well, repetitive emotions can certainly make areas of our bodies reactive. So that makes sense. But if it weren't tennis, it would probably be something else. Low back aches and pains are pretty popular here in the US for sure. Alright, so on our backs, I'll make my way there too. And good morning for those of you just tuning in. I'm Paige Alia with my partner Joel Cho on guitar. And this morning's mindful movement practice will be about supporting our low backs. So it'll be a slow and steady practice for you to take at your own pace, to incorporate any movement that serves you, to leave out anything that does not. So absolutely everything here today is an option for you to explore. There's nothing required other than breathing. So if you have a blanket and want to have that under your head, that is just fine. Otherwise, knees bent, feet planted. And you might take your feet a little wide and let your knees tip toward one another if you like. And find a place to rest your hands and arms, whether it's letting the palms rest on your stomach or having your arms down by your sides. Maybe even opening the arms out to a T this morning. See what feels good for you. And take a moment to notice all of the points of your body that right now are connected to the floor. You'll notice across your feet. Notice the toes and the fronts. Notice the arches where your feet rise up away from the floor, if they do. Notice where your heels rest. Notice where the hips and glutes connect. Does one side feel more securely connected than the other? And then notice the curve of your spine and trace it from your tailbone all the way up to the base of the skull. Notice the rise and fall of the spine. Notice the shoulder blades now, where they meet. You might even lift them and lower them. Notice any points where your arms connect to the floor. Where do your elbows rest? And notice where the back of the head rests, and see if just for now, if your nose can point straight up toward the ceiling. So your head's not tipped back, it's not tipped forward, somewhere right in the middle. And now notice your breath. Notice what's there for you in this moment, the rise and fall. And just for now, imagine your breath with each inhale traveling from your tailbone all the way up to the base of the skull. And each exhale traveling from the base of the skull all the way back down to the tailbone. Your warming, soothing breath. Maybe it takes on a color or two, wrapping itself, entwining itself with your spine. Does it spiral around it, or move straight up and down, or does it flow like water? As you're ready, open your arms to a T. Let the palms face up. And if your feet are not wide on the mat, heel toe them wide on the mat now, and you can let the knees tip inward for an internal rotation of the hips. Let the arms stay as connected to the floor as possible, extended out to the T. And then with your next exhale, gently roll one arm over so that the palm faces the floor. And then when you're ready to inhale, roll it back, reverse it, so that the palm faces up. Your next exhale, the opposite arm will roll to let the palm face the floor. Inhale, the arm will turn back over to face upward. And see if you can let the movement be guided by your breath so that your arm is constantly in motion versus just a quick turn one way and then the other. So you can slowly roll it so that the palm meets the floor at the end of the exhale. And slowly roll it back so that the palm faces the sky at the top of that inhale. And if you want, you can let this movement grow just a little bit more so that when you turn one palm down, it rolls up onto its thumb edge and the pinky edge might lift up. You might even notice your shoulder picks up a little bit as you shift onto the thumb edge. Inhales to unwind. Maybe it would feel good to also let the opposite hand roll to the thumb edge so that both hands roll to the thumb edge as one palm turns down. Inhales, unwind, let everything settle. Exhales, one palm rolls over. Maybe they turn onto the thumb edges. Optional. Take your gaze toward the palm facing up as the opposite arm turns to face the floor. Inhale, everything unwinds to center. Exhale, looking toward the upturned palm as the opposite palm turns toward the earth. Keeping in mind that you choose the amount of rotation, you choose whether or not to add the turn of the head. Breathing in and breathing out. And here too, if you wish, you could still imagine your breath gently moving up and down the spine as you twist from side to side. Last option to add on the legs with your next exhale. Whichever side the palm turns down, let your knees tip toward that so that your gaze goes opposite the legs. Inhales through center, exhales, palm turns down, knees tip with it, gaze goes toward the upturned palm. And your knees can tip as far as you choose. Maybe it's just a little sway, or maybe it feels good to take the legs way over and let one of the hips lift up as the other connects even more to the earth. And you think of your body like a wash rag in this moment, gently wringing it out of all the stale air with each exhale. Each inhale unwinding and filling up with fresh, nourishing air, supporting you. If you forget which direction what goes and when, just breathe and find a little movement that feels good in this moment. Notice your reactions. Notice anything coming up, your mood, thoughts, feelings. And know that it's all okay. It's invited to be here in this space for you to process in a way of being graceful and compassionate for your own self. Maybe the next time you twist, pause there and take several breaths. If pausing doesn't serve you today, keep flowing. When you're ready, and inhale back through center. Exhale, tip the other way, maybe add the pause or keep flowing. Are you still breathing up and down the length of your spine? You might invite that back in. And on your next inhale, let's meet at center. Bring the arms again to rest while your sides are on your low torso. Letting the knees tip toward one another. Checking in. Notice how things are feeling after just this series. This full body wake up series. And now another breath or two exactly as you are. And then one leg at a time, bring the knees toward the chest. The legs could be side by side, or you might cross the ankles. And then if you want, wrap your arms around the fronts or the backs of the legs. Would it feel good to add movement here? Up and down the spine, or side to side, or circles, figure eights. Invite what movement serves you in this moment. Maybe wiggling the toes or circling the ankles, pointing and flexing the feet. Do you notice areas of tightness? What about areas that already feel ease? What do you notice for your back here? With the legs together versus taking the knees away from one another. Are there any differences? Let's meet back at center. Bring the hands to cup the kneecaps. And start to stir the knees open and away, and then down toward the bottom of your mat and back toward one another. And then bring them back in toward the chest. So drawing circles. The knees are mirroring one another in this moment. And check in with your breathing, and you can keep your hands on the knees, or you could release your arms and let just the legs do the work here. So with the hands a little bit more passive as your arms are guiding, and then if you let go, the hip flexor muscles, they get a little bit of opportunity to move, to work here. Go in reverse directions. Breathing softer and smoother. Breathing with an intention to support, to nourish, to guide your practice. Let's come back to center. Hold the backs of your thighs if you're holding your legs. And then draw your toes towards your knees, flexing the ankles here as if you're reaching through the heels. And then point the toes. Flexing and pointing. Jeez. Notice what experiences you're having. My right ankle keeps popping every time I flex today. Maybe circle one way and then the other. And then kind of bounce the feet. Just bounce the feet gently, letting them relax. Like you're swimming somehow with bent knees, kicking. And then slowly find stillness. And then slowly, on your next inhale, reach the heels up, gradually toward the ceiling, extending the legs until you find a stretch that serves you today. So it could be anywhere along the spectrum. The legs do not need to be straight. Exhales to bend the knees, bringing the heels back down toward the glutes. So a couple more times, just like this, reaching and lowering. Inhales, reaching up. Exhales, lowering down. One more. And then this time, lower the heels all the way down to the mat. One at a time or both at the same time. When they get there, maybe lift your hips up and down just to realign, and maybe your spine almost feels like it grew a little bit. And maybe sway the knees side to side for a moment. And then let's meet back at center again. With the feet planted, the knees can tip toward one another, arms rest. Checking in once again, noticing and observing any shifts. How you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally. How are you? And come back to the breath. Maybe visualizing it traveling up and down the spine. And slowly let the knees separate and bring your feet so that they're at a spot that feels supportive. So if you were to press into your feet, you could lift your hips up into the air, which is where we're going. If you have a blanket under your head or a pillow, you can remove it. If your blanket feels better under your head, then you can leave it exactly where it is. Bring the hands down by the hips. And for now, let's practice keeping the knees pointing straight toward the ceiling so that they don't swing open and out to the side and they don't collapse inward. So the legs will stay parallel to one another. Press into your heels. Really feel them. Your toes can lift up. That's okay. And with your next inhale, slowly lift your hips up off your mat. Maybe it's just the smallest amount, or maybe it feels good to lift higher. So wherever you would like to lift and find your bridge today. Breathing at the top. Holding. Noticing how things feel, lowering down at any point. When you're ready to come down, if you would, exhale, guiding yourself all the way down, letting the exhale last the duration of the movement. Letting the movement last the duration of the breath would be the wording that I meant to do there. Got a little backwards. So, breath guides your movement. So let yourself move for the whole breath. Maybe pause at the top or bottom. Keep breathing but holding. And then slowly floating back down toward the earth. Option to add on those arms if you want. As you lift up, reach the arms toward the ceiling and then maybe take them back by your ears, letting the backs of the hands come down to the earth. The arms are extended behind you. As you exhale, slowly floating the hips down as well as the arms, and as you exhale, let the palms and glutes meet the mat at the same time at the end of that exhale. So flowing with your breath. Take any break. Maybe take one more bridge. We'll meet on the mat. Letting the hands float a little away from the hips. Heel toe the feet wide on the mat. And then let the knees sway side to side. Coming back to center. Keep the feet where they are, with the knees wide here. Arms can stay open out to a T, or they can come down by your hips. Root into the heels here, keeping the knees open, the feet wide, and slowly lift here and see what you notice, what differences are there in this wide stance versus the more narrow stance with the heels in line with the hips. Inhale, lifting. Is there a little more wobble side to side? Can you find steadiness and stability? What muscles do you notice engage here? There could be a lot of them, but what do you tune into today? Can you lift higher? Do you lift lower? About the same. A couple more. Maybe you notice you like this bridge more or less than the other one. All observations. If you have chosen to continue lifting, maybe one more. We'll all meet on our mat. And from here, arch the back up, letting the tailbone sink toward the floor. And then exhale and glue the low back against the mat. Inhale, just arching the low back up. So we're not lifting the hips or glutes. Exhale, glue the low back against the mat. Pelvic tilts, 7 more. When you're ready, finding neutral. And once again, hugging the knees in towards your chest. And we're going to make our way onto our stomachs. So before doing that, picture in your mind the most easeful way for you to get from where you are in this moment to on your stomach. And then make your way there. If you have a blanket, moving that aside for now. We're going to stretch out long on our mats, reaching the arms overhead and bringing the forehead or chin to the mat. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. And then find a little lift of the kneecap without locking the leg. So what can you do to lift the kneecap? Think about hugging the quadricep, the thigh muscles against the bones of your leg. And send the hip bones toward the floor. Keep the arms long and lift your head up. Look between your hands. And maybe lift a little higher, lifting your chest up. And as you do this, you might have your hands slide towards you a little bit. That's absolutely okay. Keep the arms long here. And keep pressing the feet into the mat. Sometimes they want to lift up, but let's keep them connected here and breathe. An extended cobra pose. As you exhale, you can slowly float back down. So lifting and lowering with your breath. Holding the legs engaged. Noticing how this feels for the low back, the mid back, the upper back. Continuing with the arms extended or slide them down next to your shoulders. And the hands here lift up off the floor. And squeeze the elbows back. Keep pressing the feet downward. Hold the engagement of the muscles of the legs. Now, you can continue the extended cobras or the hands by the shoulders or combining the two. So, with your next exhale, arms reach long. Inhale, elbows bend, hands lift up, and hands slide up toward by the shoulders, squeezing the elbows back. Keep pressing the feet down. Inhale's reaching long. Exhale, floating back. Inhales as you lift. Exhales. Lower. One more. Lift and hold wherever you are. Keep pressing the feet down. Hands can stay by the shoulders or extend them long down by your hips with the palms pressing up toward the ceiling. Breathe. On your next exhale, slowly float down. Arms are down by the hips. Turn a cheek and let the elbows bend. If you have glasses on, you could take them off. Let all the muscles of the legs soften. Maybe sway the hips a little side to side. You could bend the knees a little bit and lift the feet up too. And then settle into that crocodile pose. Letting all of your bones and muscles soften as much as they can in this moment. Feel your breath. Visualize your breath moving up and down your spine. And when you're ready, gently turning to the opposite cheek. And when you're ready, bringing your gaze to center. And this time, consider how you would like to make your way to hands and knees. Maybe it would feel good to press yourself up and back into a down dog this morning. Or maybe something more easeful is calling your name. See it in your mind. And then make your way there. Maybe a child's pose before you land in hands and knees. Your choice. Breathing softer and smoother. A little bit longer. Can you breathe wherever you are, up and down the length of the spine? And then eventually making your way to that tabletop, if you're not already there. Settling into a comfortable tabletop. Maybe that means spreading your blanket out under your knees or hands. Let the top of your head reach forward, gazing towards your mat. And then slowly shift your stomach downward as you lift your tail. Then peek your head up, looking forward. Maybe here really root down, not into just the palms of the hands, but connecting all of the knuckles across the fingers. When you're ready, round the spine up. Tail tucks, head and heart. Also tuck. Inhale to find that lift, relaxing the front of the body down. Maybe squeeze the shoulders towards one another here. As you exhale, maybe think of sliding the shoulders as far apart as you can. Cats and cows, adding any movement that would feel good. Maybe it feels really good to bend the elbows as you move between the two poses, or sway a little side to side. Playing with this movement today. Maybe add more movement as you round up into cat. Slowly sink your hips towards your heels, child pose. And then inhale back up into cat, and then find that cow pose, lifting head and tail. There's no rush, but the next time you pass into cat pose, send your hips towards your heels and then slowly float your arms down by your feet, letting the forehead come down toward the earth. If the forehead doesn't reach, you can fold up a blanket, bringing your head to the blanket, or even just stacking your hands under your head. So just kind of curling up into yourself. Breathing softer and smoother, a little bit longer. On the next inhale, we'll slowly rise up to full kneeling. As you do, sweeping the arms up and out to the sides and all the way toward the ceiling. Maybe look up. Exhale, floating the arms down and lowering back down into that little curled up ball. So moving at your pace. Inhales as you rise up. Maybe send the hips forward slightly and take a tiny little bend back, sending the arms further back, just around you. Exhale, all the way back down. Rising up, let's meet there and bring the hands down to the heart. Lower the left hand down by the left hip and bring the right hand onto the right shoulder. I'll turn to face you here. Reaching that left hand down, lifting that right elbow up and tipping toward the left. Bring a stretch along that right side body. You can keep your right hand toward the shoulder. Option to reach it up and over. Come back to center. Lower the right arm. Left hand can come up toward the shoulder if you like. Tipping toward the right as the right reaches down. Sending the left arm up and over if you like. Once more to each side. You can look down or out or keep your gaze neutral. Some people like to look up at the top hand too. That can be a little bit of a balance challenge if you're looking for that today. Excuse me. We'll meet back at center. Inhale, sweep the arms up, look up. And exhale, slowly lowering down and making your way to seated. And here, choosing crisscross or extending the legs. You might sit on a blanket. Bringing your hands onto your legs. Slowly start stirring the torso here. Any size circles that feel right. How's your breath? Reversing directions. It's fine. Center. And then we'll make our way onto our backs for a couple of more guided movements before our final resting. You can have the blanket under your head if you like. Make yourself comfortable, adding any layers at this point that would feel good. When you get on your back, bend your knees, planting your feet just like how we started, finding that position and checking it. Notice all the points where you're connected to the earth. Notice where you rise up away from the earth. Notice how you're feeling, what mood you're in, any shifts. What's coming up for you in this moment? Let's do figure 4 for each side, beginning by crossing the right ankle over the left thigh, letting the right knee tip open toward the right. And you can take any variation on this figure 4 today, whether you stay here or you want to bring your right hand onto the right leg for support. It might feel good to rock side to side. Or maybe you're looking for different sensation. You could lift the left foot up off the floor, using that leg to bring both legs a little bit more toward your body, and then you can hold on to the back of the left leg, or the back of the left leg and the right leg. Your right hand could go between the legs and also support that left leg. You can add the rocking here too. Rocking or stillness, you choose. Maybe there's another variation you would like to explore today. Give yourself permission. Go for it. We'll slowly lower, lift and lower the hip, and then switch sides. Left ankle over the right, and all of those options here too. Whether you move or find stillness, spend a few moments nourishing the left side and what it needs. When you're ready, leaning back at center, landing the feet, lift and lower the hips, little the feet wide again, and choose either letting the knees tip in toward one another, or maybe floating the knees from side to side. Inhales to center, exhales tipping. And ask yourself in this moment, are there any poses you would like to return to? Maybe something we did at the beginning would feel really good now. Maybe there's something you want to revisit, or maybe there's something you would like to explore that we didn't do today. Take the next few moments to invite any of that in. You might continue swaying, or you might find stillness. Maybe you're ready for your final resting. wherever you would like to take your final resting today. Be here and breathe. And perhaps returning to that visualization. Inhale, breath flowing up the spine. Exhale, gently flowing down the spine. Breathing in and breathing out. Rest now and receive, drift, maybe dream. Gently guide yourself back to the space from wherever you may have drifted or journeyed, inviting in subtle movement, fingers, toes, maybe turning the head gently from side to side, and taking all the time you need before making your way up to seated. As always, it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be here in this space with you. May we continue to connect, to nourish ourselves, to find peace as we fill our hearts. From our hearts to yours, namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here, for supporting us and for supporting you. Our next class will be tomorrow evening at 5:30, and that will be slow flow. And know, as always, if you can't make a live class, we post them onto Facebook. We have some new stuff coming out here soon. We have in the works kind of a membership-based program that will, for now, continue the live classes, and then it will be evolving as our conditions and such evolve in the U.S. here. So thank you, be well. Share, comment, like this post, and financial contributions can be made. The links are provided in the description of the post. So thank you for any and all that you're able to do. Much love. You're welcome. Have a great day.